It's Wednesday, June 3rd. I want to talk about mayhem in the Bronx. What I'm going to talk about happened on Monday night. Now, I grew up on the streets in the Bronx. I lived in the Bronx the first 33 years of my life. I played in the parks and the streets and the schoolyards and the playgrounds. I lived in apartment buildings and city housing projects. I went to Christopher Columbus High School. I went to CCNY Baruch College. It took me 10 years to graduate. And then it took me another 7 years to get my MBA. So I know the Bronx and I know the city. I don't know much about Brooklyn or Queens. And Staten Island is just a place you go through to get to the Jersey Turnpike. I visited the Bronx Zoo when the only day you had to pay to get in was on a Tuesday. And don't ask me why they picked Tuesday. So now I want to talk about the protest. It wasn't all bad. There was a peaceful protest march that ran from 149th Street to St. Mary's Park. But there were a lot of fires in the streets. There were a lot of windows smashed. There was a lot of looting galore. On Fordham Road, which ran from Sedgwick Avenue to Pelham Parkway, I know that street very well. At Southern Boulevard, where you switch trolleys in front of the world-famous Bronx Zoo, I used to do that, to go to my aunt's house. She lived off of Southern Boulevard. There was lots of lootings on East Fordham Road, right near T-Bout Avenue, where the Fordham Baldies, an infamous gang of Irishmen, used to hang out. And remember, Alexander's was the main Bronx department store. It had a branch on Fordham Road. And on Fordham Road, you also had the Loew's Grand, the RKO Fordham, and the Lido movie houses. And not far from those movie houses was the Loew's Paradise. Paradise was a grand theater. Paradise had clouds that moved through the sky. The ceiling was colored like a sky. But as things progressed, the clouds were later declared a health hazard. And in those days, if you lived on the Grand Concourse, that was a hoo-ha. Rich people lived on the concourse. So anyhow, on Monday night, it was violence and looting on the streets in the Bronx. And of course, the police had to investigate. So they go to investigate, and the sergeant was struck by a car. He's in serious but stable condition at the hospital. And it happened at 170th Street and Walton Avenue, about 13 blocks from where I lived. Now, I knew that part of Walton Avenue very well. And on the corner of 182nd Street, there was a little shul that we used to go to. Although that wasn't the shul that I ended up being bar mitzvahed in. That shul, strangely enough, was off of Fordham Road, up off of the Grand Concourse, called the Jacob Schiff Center. I went there and I was bar mitzvahed. Wasn't a great bar mitzvah. I think when I finished, we had a sponge cake and my grandfather gave me $5. No big crowd or anything. Anyhow, that's where the cop was knocked down. And then on Burnside Avenue, where Gertrude and I got married 63 years ago, there were fires in the street, a liquor store was looted, the mobile phone store, which had one of those big iron gates that came to the ground, that gate was pried open, and the looters stole every mobile phone in the store. And then I watched a video yesterday morning, which showed a street in the Bronx that was burning Monday night, and looters and rioters had set fire, broke into stores, and in one shocking scene, they were beating a police officer on the ground. And this police officer was attacked by several men, and the onlookers were recording the struggle and encouraging the suspects to continue beating up the policeman. And then two men threw objects at the policeman, and he's on the ground, right, with those two guys. And then, after the tussle, the policeman got free, and he's dazed, and the group is running away, and he pulls his gun out. And I expect that he's going to start shooting, but he didn't point it at anybody. According to the video, he looked out of it. And this incident took place on T-Bout Avenue, or near T-Bout Avenue on Fordham. Actually, on Fordham Road near T-Bout Avenue. Then yesterday morning, I saw a disturbing video of a guy who was slipping through the gate. Really hard job to slip through the gate at this particular gate. It was going into the Bronx Zoo. Now, I don't know why the guy was slipping into the Bronx Zoo. I hope he had no intention of messing with the animals in there. But I didn't hear anything further about it. But somebody took this video of the guy. Now, this guy was unrecognizable. Had a black hoodie on, and all you could see him on the back. Now, this gate is funny. It has a big turtle in front of it, a turtle sculpture, and he slid over the turtle through the gate into the Bronx Zoo. I don't know what his intentions are. Maybe we'll find out later on that he did some damage. Maybe he went into the reptile house and stole a couple of cobras. Who knows what a guy wants to do in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of a riot, sneaking into the Bronx Zoo. Bronx Zoo is a great place. I went there, took my kids there. Love it. Great place. The Bronx Zoo was a great place. I know people at the Y also live near the Bronx Zoo. So in any event, it was kind of horrific watching all these things and listening to them about the riots in the Bronx, since it's kind of close to home and you're on familiar turf. And it was a great place to grow up. So I'm finished with this rant. And I'm truly disturbed that these demonstrations went wild in the Bronx. I don't think it would have happened when I was a kid there. I'll see you tomorrow.